This episode, I'm with Tai Lopez, the GOAT of building a social media following. How many followers do you have right now on Instagram?
I just crossed 2.7 million earlier this morning.
2.7 million, and on Facebook, I think it was almost 7, right?
Yeah, a little over 6 million, 6.2. Let's say your big picture goal is to grow your social media brand.
Right.
There's tons of money to be made. So there you have your overall vision, you want to grow on social media. Then you have to focus kind of one at a time. I see people trying to build Twitter, YouTube, Instagram all at once, and inevitably you neglect them all. You can monetize off social media in infinite ways. In fact, I will go so far, I haven't talked about this, your show is the first one I've said this. I will go so far now, and I believe I can back it up, that social media is the most powerful sales force ever. There's nothing even close.
Everyone wants to be great, but only few actually get there. And I'm on a mission to find out what all the greatest have in common. I've traveled tirelessly to find, sit down, and talk with GOATs, people that are arguably the greatest of all time at what they do. Sales, marketing, advertising, business, podcasts, branding, you name it. The way they do things may be different, but they all seem to see the world the same way. To them, success is not only achievable, but inevitable. And we'll get inside their heads as they share their expertise with me each week. My name's Mike Arce, and this is The GOAT Show. This episode is sponsored by Agency G.O.A.T. Starting a digital agency was definitely one of the best decisions I've ever made. Building it, however, was a lot more challenging than expected. I always wish someone just gave me a roadmap that I could follow and let me be a fly on the wall at a successful agency so I could just see how it's all done. Agency G.O.A.T allows you to do just that. Stop playing small and visit agencygsd.com to learn how to help hundreds of clients get it to 7 figures and be extremely profitable along the way. Again, go to agencygsd.com. Also sponsored by Video Podcast Producers. You know, a year ago, I never imagined sitting down and spending an hour with each GOAT that I interview on this show, whether it's Russell Brunson, Grant Cardone, Ken Shamrock, Lewis Howes, Ryan Tais, or the many others I've been able to sit down with. They didn't know who I was at the beginning of 2017, and to be able to sit down and learn from these guys and share it all with the world has been incredible. There is one secret behind how I got here, and that is video podcasting. So if your goal is to be an influencer in your industry, then this is definitely one of the fastest ways to get there. Check out Video Podcast Producers at startavideopodcast.com and become the influencer that you know you should be. Again, that's startavideopodcast.com. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Arce, and welcome back to another episode of The GOAT Show, where we interview people that are arguably the greatest of all time at what it is that they do. And today, I'm here with Mr. Tai Lopez. What's up, Tai? Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
So we have you on because you are arguably the greatest of all time at building a social media following. How many followers do you have right now on Instagram?
I just crossed 2.7 million earlier this morning.
2.7 million, and on Facebook, I think it was almost 7, right?
Yeah, a little over 6 million, 6.2. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'm the biggest, but in business, there's not that many people that have more business, although mine's half and half.
Right.
But yeah, there's some good people out there that are doing big things, and I've come up with some of my own formulas and adopted what I see other people doing well. Pablo Picasso said, good artists copy, great artists steal. So you gotta go out and not literally steal from people, but you steal concepts, you know. Most of success, it's like the proverb says, there's nothing new under the sun. Most things that people think they're innovating, they're really adapting something that somebody else did. You know?
Right.
There's nothing new under the sun. So when it comes to social media, it's the same thing. There were storytellers before there was Instagram and YouTube. There was Steven Spielberg, and before that there's authors, Tolkien, and you go all the way to Charles Dickens. It's the same basic thing. Whoever tells the best story really wins, not only in film and books, but also now in the modern world of social media.
So how did it all begin for you, though? Because before you were like, all right, I'm going to build this following, what were you doing?
You know, I've been a businessman or entrepreneur since I was 19. Launched my first business. It was in It was a food business with a guy named Joel Salatin. We're partners. And so I've been doing business, you know, for a long time before I came on the scene of social media. I didn't really start doing social media. I started tinkering with it in 2012, but really 2015, January 2015 is kind of where I popped in and really focused on it. So before then, I was just a businessman behind the scenes. I was a serial entrepreneur. Like I said, food business. I was a consultant. I was in the nightclub business, wealth management company, real estate investment company, bought businesses, sold some of them. Some of them I still have, and just kind of progressed through that serial entrepreneur route. And I'm an adventurer, so you know, it's like I get bored easily. I just keep moving, trying new things.
So now I saw you speak at Thrive twice, because I went last year, I went this year. Both times your talks were great. And you talked about it kind of really started taking off with this one video that you shot in your garage. So let's play that clip real quick.
Here in my garage, just bought this new Lamborghini here. It's fun to drive up here in the Hollywood Hills.
So now when you decided to shoot this video,
Yeah.
what was going on in your head before? Like, how did that idea come up where I'm going to do this?
So like 4 months before, that was I launched that video, I think January 25th, 2015. And in the fall of the year, the previous year, I had been at some, you know, business networking thing, and somebody was like, Tai, you should do more YouTube. YouTube's the next big thing. So I started dabbling with it. I made a few videos. I made some videos in December. And none of them really popped. Actually, one of them did okay, but you know, the trick to virality really is just, it's kind of a numbers game. There is a system to it somewhat, but you can never fully predict what'll work. So I was in Europe for New Year's. I was in France, and I got a call from Nathan, who works for me still, and he was like, hey, we got all these books, because I've always had a lot of books. He said, we got all these books, and we literally ran out of bookshelves in your house.
Well, you read a book a day, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and I collect more than I can even read. So I have 5,000 or 10,000 books, and so I said, look, where's some free spot? He said, the only place free in this house is in the garage. I said, go buy 7 or 8 bookshelves, put them together when I get back. So I got back in the beginning of January, and there were these bookshelves. And one night, I was just at home, and I had bought this Lamborghini I had gotten for Halloween. So I was dating a girl, and I went as Batman, so I got this black Lamborghini. And so I'd had it for like 3 months, but then I was like, you know what, I've never even posted really a picture of it. So I decided to just shoot a video in the garage, and I shot a few variations, but it wasn't really planned out that much. And I posted it, and it went viral very fast.
So when you say viral, what numbers did you hit?
Well, I have a few variations of it. Probably, it's hard to know how many unique. I'd say between 200 million and 500 million people saw it. It's a lot.
It's like Justin Bieber numbers.
Not quite as much as Justin Bieber. I have the one version on my website that shows 60 million views, but I have about 10. I did one of the Ferrari, and that whole series in there, I think, if you look at it impression-wise, YouTube counts it, depending on how long people watch it, so they might not count a view till over 30 seconds. But in terms of seeing the opening, like here in my garage, the first 5, 10, 15 seconds, it could be as many as 600 million people. I'd say it's probably conservatively 200 million people. It's a ton. In Google, I'm one of the biggest YouTube advertisers in the world, so Google did a little survey for me. I have Google reps that fly down once a month here to LA.
So how much do you have to spend on YouTube to have that happen?
Oh, you got to spend a lot. I mean, I have not even accumulated, but you probably, if you spend 20, 30, 40 million bucks on YouTube.
In a year?
Yeah, or it's the time frame, maybe 2 years. I mean, I do stuff on Facebook and Instagram and all that. Me and my business partner that own Mentorbox, we've spent 600 million on our own businesses, not an agency model, but like our own money on our own business. He spent more than me, but he's done more Facebook. YouTube, in terms of personal brand, there was some people doing it before me. There was Six Pack Shortcuts. A guy named Mike Chang and a couple of his business partners were doing it. So they were doing the health space. But you know, you got to catch trends early. And I've always been, in 2001, I was one of the first people just kind of accidentally to bump into Google AdWords. So I was using Google AdWords as we know it they had a little version before, but the real AdWords, I was in it like 2 months after it started. And then Facebook ads, in I think it was 2008, I was in the kind of the beta programs, and then I was one of the first people using YouTube, and then now I was one of the first people advertising on Snapchat. So I try to create a habit of like catching a trend early, because it's so, oh man, if you can catch it you don't even have to be the first. If you can catch a trend relatively early, and if you look through the big four companies that pretty much dominate the world now, Google, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, when you look at Facebook, for example, they were not the first to social media. You had Friendster, you had Facebook. I mean, you had MySpace. Tom is actually a friend of mine, Tom MySpace.
Does he sit like this all the time?
Yeah, he's a cool guy. He's a smart guy. He cashed out. He sold for $500 million. He did well.
That's awesome.
But Mark Zuckerberg, of course, did the best. And so I actually call it first wave, second wave, third wave. Ideally, you're the third wave. So when it comes to YouTube advertising, I was probably in the second wave. There was a first set of people doing it. So the good news for those of you watching, you don't always have to be first. In fact, one of my mentors out in Nation said, Tai, never be the first or the last to try a new idea.
Right.
You want to be kind of in that first third, I call it third wave. If you hit that third wave in the right market, Snapchat's another example. They were kind of third wave. After Facebook, you had Facebook, Instagram, and then Snapchat. Those are once the establishment of social media in terms of Facebook being the first came, then you had Instagram, which sold for $1 billion, and then you had Snapchat IPO, which is worth a lot more than Instagram. Instagram is probably worth more, but at the time of sale. So when you catch that third wave in marketing and business, it's very lucrative, and it makes it a lot easier.
Well, Sam, let's get a shot of all this, his entire setup, which is all custom made, right? So you have a custom made, I don't know, what do you call this? It's not a tripod.
I don't know. It's the monster.
It's the monster, and you can fit 6 different phones and an iPad on each one, or a camera.
Yep.
And so you created this because you found the value of live streaming.
Yeah. I do a ton of live streaming.
So let's talk about, number one, where did this come? Like, what was?
I think Adrian built it. I told him, look, dude, build me something that can hold a lot, because here's the thing: if you use separate tripods, your eye line gets all messed up. I said, I need all the cameras like bunched together so I can look at one point, and I'm looking at everybody, because people don't want to be off at the side.
Right.
So we built that, and we just kept adding until it turned in this kind of monster thing.
So, and you go live on which platforms every time you decide?
I do Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram Live. Those are the 4. And Twitter bought Periscope, so it's technically Periscope. I used to do Meerkat, but Meerkat's pretty much done now. And now, but those 4, depending on where, like I'll play basketball, get 300,000-400,000 people watching live. It's crazy.
Because you're making 7 shots in a row.
If you can hit enough shots, people like when you miss too. Like people like, half the world likes to talk crap, and half the world likes to, actually more people like to talk crap when you're playing basketball. But
so now, since you're the GOAT of building a following, and you stream, and so you understand what seems to bring in the most engagement and all that, you've been starting to catch that trend. If, let's say I said, all right, and this is thinking future as well as current. If I said, all right, look, you're going to have to put your money on this. Out of all those things you go live, you can pick one. You can't go live on any other ones. Yeah. Which one do you hang on to? Thinking future and current.
I'd probably do Facebook, just because Facebook has the largest potential reach. It has the most followers. It owns Instagram. They're very different. YouTube is very powerful. YouTube, I find people are ready to watch the longest.
Right.
So if you're doing a very long stream, you get people hang on YouTube the longest. Twitter and Instagram, people pop in and pop out. Yeah. Because you have to. The way that I think about marketing is that each social media brand has a frame. So when you go to, let's say, Snapchat, you're in a certain frame of mind. 19-year-old kid, they're in there to chat and send quick messages, okay? Snapchat's experimenting with doing longer form stuff, but it's hard to change your brand image. When you think about Instagram, same thing. You go there, it's a very ADD app. So Instagram Live, people tend to not sit there for 1 hour because they're like, I'm on Instagram, I want to go check what my friend ate for lunch or something.
Right.
Facebook and YouTube are longer form content. And so when you go to YouTube, very few people go to YouTube to watch an 8-second video or 60-second video. So the people on YouTube Live, in some ways, I like the most, but there's a lot less people on YouTube Live. So it's 2 steps forward in terms of people hang and engage longer, but the audience, how many people do you know that are like, oh, I'm watching YouTube Live? It's not that many.
Yeah.
People watch Facebook Live, Instagram Live, Twitter. Twitter's probably the least valuable of them. But Twitter's interesting. It has the most chatter. Like, people talk the most. Like, Twitter attracts good and bad, like the most haters, the most active. So I think that you have to, it's like if somebody's like, you like your right foot, your left foot, your right hand, your left hand. I'm like, you know what? I'd like to keep all of them if I can.
Right.
So when I come to social media, everyone has a purpose. And so the real way you get big online, in my opinion, is you like tailor the content for each platform. You make different things for YouTube. Now, when I live stream, I'm creating one set of content for all of them, but on an ongoing basis, I post I just passed 1 million followers on Twitter. My Twitter's been growing really fast. I think it grew 400,000 this month or something. And I haven't focused on Twitter for a long time. Mm-hmm. It's been my least. Twitter and podcasts are I've neglected the most. Now my podcast I've been focused on, so it's shot up in the top, 3 or 4 on business. But when you focus on something, like let's say your big picture goal is to grow your social media brand.
Right.
A lot of people want to do that. It's untapped, uncharted market, trust me. There's tons of money to be made. So there you have your overall vision. You want to grow on social media. Then you have to focus kind of one at a time. I see people trying to like build Twitter, YouTube, Instagram all at once, and inevitably like you neglect them all. The man who chases 2 rabbits catches none. That's what Confucius said. So I've kind of gone methodically. I really tried to crack YouTube first. Now I'm kind of neglecting YouTube, but I focused on YouTube. I kind of cracked the code a little bit for that. Then I really moved, I'd say probably to Instagram, and then I went to Facebook. Then Snapchat is, if you have a young audience, a product to sell young, Snapchat is still really strong. Even though,
you do. You have a good mix.
Yeah, I have all ages, but I'm like, if you're selling a product like fashion line and it's gonna be worn by teenagers, you wanna be all over Snapchat. No matter how old you are, you need that. And so I developed Snapchat next, and then I really went podcast, and then I went Twitter. That was kind of my progression.
So now the content drives everyone towards something.
Yes.
You eventually want people to take action on something. What are your main drivers? Like, what are the things that you want eventually people to opt into, buy?
Yeah. So I've given away, I just passed here, let's see what I'm at today. I passed 1 billion minutes of free content on YouTube watched. Let me see.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
That's insane.
Yeah, here. I'm at, this is basically 99% of it's since 2015. You can see the art there if you want to see. You can zoom on it. So pretty much you see 2015.
Right.
So since then, it's at 1 billion 45 million minutes watched. It's a lot.
That's a lot.
And so it's about 500. It's about $500 million a year. And so first, the top of the funnel is a lot of free content that people get value from. And then you bring the funnel down to and some people say, oh, why do you sell stuff? Everybody, you have to sell. And I'm going to the Laker game tonight. Got seats down there with the Lakers, and everywhere you look, there's somebody wearing an emblem. There's a Taco Bell thing. There's nothing wrong with selling. And I think people sometimes are like, oh, this person doesn't sell. Everybody's selling something. Trust me, because for our time, we have to be reimbursed. You have to, in the way the world works now, the way economics work, you don't grow your own food, you don't make your own clothes. So we live in an exchange economy. So always, there's a saying, if you're playing poker and after 30 minutes you don't know who the sucker in the room is, you're the sucker. So when you're not exchanging, when you're just giving always, and people do that socially or in relationships, we've all been in relationships where you give and you never get. And what happens is you become disincentivized and everybody loses because you stop giving. So with social media, I give a lot of stuff and then people give back. I have paid programs that are more specific, in-depth test group and courses on how to build a social media marketing agency, how to invest money. I just had some people in here teaching Forex investing. So I'll fly in the best teachers around the world that I know, or I'll teach stuff. And so we have about 10 different courses And you monetize about 1 to 5% of people who watch your free stuff. If you can get them to buy, it's a good exchange. You help 95% of people for free, and your most engaged core audience buys stuff. And now I do a lot more, so I'm launching more and more brands. Grab one of those Mentorbox. I launched a company a year ago, Mentorbox, with a business partner. We have an office in Silicon Valley or up in San Francisco. And that business, we kind of ship books to people. It's like the Netflix of learning.
Right.
And so that business, we just used my social media marketing, and on day one, it became a 7-figure business.
Day one?
Yeah, day one.
Because you already had
took
a
about
great
48
audience.
hours, technically day 2.
Wow.
So yeah, you can take an audience, and what I'm doing now is investing, buying, or launching new businesses in all areas, whether they be in fitness, whether it be, like I said, book shipping, it can be raising investment fund, it can be real estate. I'm working on some big real estate deals. I'll shoot out on my Snapchat or my Instagram, yo, I'm doing this real estate deal. Anybody in real estate, put your phone number, I'll give you a call. So you can monetize off social media in infinite ways. In fact, I will go so far, I haven't talked about this, your show is the first one I've said this. I will go so far now, and I believe I can back it up, that social media is the most powerful sales force ever. There's nothing even close. And as proof, there was just an article published everywhere, Forbes, Fortune, everything. Kylie Jenner, at age 20, in 18 months, sold $430 million worth of makeup. So that's not,
Wow.
that in no company is the fastest. Go look at, name a company that went from 0 to 430 million in actual sales, consumers putting in their credit card. You'll see companies valued at $1 billion. Like Jet.com was valued at $3 billion, but it wasn't off revenue, it was off
Projections.
projections and customer acquisition. Like Snapchat was a multi-billion-dollar company, and it was only doing about 100 million in ad revenue. People bought Snapchat because they said, look, it's got 50% of young people in the world on it. But Kylie Jenner did something that's conservatively probably will be $1 billion company. And the crazy thing is, she's 20 years old. She owns it all. She has no investors. She did no conventional advertising. She beat Maybelline. She beat L'Oreal. She beat, you name, nobody. It took I forget, one of the other big brands like L'Oreal, 30 years to do what she did in 18 months with 5,000 employees. So you're talking, she not only, I mean, she has basically no employees. She has a fulfillment warehouse in this, and I saw her stats. She posted on Snapchat, her Google Analytics had hundreds of thousands of people on the checkout page in 90 seconds. So we can say statistically, even Groupon didn't grow that fast, as far as I know. So without a doubt, for those of you watching, if you're not harnessing social media, you are making half the money you should make. I tell maybe 10%, maybe 1%. So I actually recently, this is the first time I've announced this publicly too. I launched I built my own agency. I just launched an agency where we're gonna take on select business. We're not really going in the agency full-on business, but I decided, because I get people every day being like, Tai, will you do your formula for me? So I decided I'll do it. I'm not going to take on thousands of clients, but we'll take on a few. Is that going to be interesting?
That'd be pretty cool.
New adventure.
So are you looking for branding? Or are you looking predominantly for social media ads? Or are you looking for building organic for them? Consulting?
So basically, and that's Mentorbox. It's kind of cool.
But by the way,
This
actually,
business right here is basically, we just signed Walmart as a customer.
So let's say I'm a customer of Mentorbox.
Yeah.
So how much would I pay? And what do I get?
We have a digital version, so you get a library of hundreds of books with the summaries by the authors. This is the key. Okay. You can buy book summaries, but they're by most of these companies pay contractors who write some crappy,
right.
No offense to the competitors, but we said, nah, you want Ariana Huffington? We'll let her tell you, so that instead of reading her whole book, she'll tell you the highlights and the points. You can watch a 20-minute video,
so
30-minute
you've
video.
connected with the author yourself to make sure that this can get done.
So we have an online version
cool.
that's very cheap. And then we have this box, which is more advanced. So it gives you 2 physical books. It's got proprietary retention workbooks, so you can remember what you read. People don't remember what they read.
Yeah.
So we have that, and we have cheat sheets, and we have a USB with special video stuff that we don't even put online. So Yeah, it's pretty cool. And
All
then
right, so you
your
got
question
that,
on
yep.
the agency. So with the agency, basically we'll come in. Here's the thing. I have a lot of tricks up my sleeve that most businesses don't have access to. Because half of business is what you know, what's in between your ears. Like, you got to know stuff. Bill Gates, these people are skilled. Mark Zuckerberg, Steve Jobs, he was skilled in his mind. But the other 50%, no less important, is who you know. So I have a lot of what I call business ninja connections. So for example, if I want to grow my podcast, I have 3 or 4 subcontractors, ninjas that work for me, that I can do things that if you try to grow your podcast, you're never going to do. I mean, I can go to #1 on podcasts if I want to. And I'm not talking about black hat hacker things. I'm talking about legitimate ways of growing. I did an experiment with my team and one of my quote unquote ninja contractors. These are people all around the world, that kind of nerdy people that sit in a room. They reach out to me just because they follow my stuff. They don't really do it as an agency, but like I grew my Facebook at 1 million a week. I could grow my Facebook to 50 to 100 million. It got boring, so I turned it off. Like, yeah, I was growing about 150,000 a day. Real people either, not bots.
And so that's not necessarily strategy at this point. It's because you've been able to create an audience, create a fan base, and then also attract people that are doing great things, know how to do things really well, ninjas, that now want to work with you.
Yes.
Because that's just who they like.
I got lots. So basically this agency, businesses will submit an application. I'll review what they're doing. If I think I can help them, we'll come up with a fee, like a monthly retainer that they can cancel anytime. And it's basically social media and internet marketing, anything related. It could be the brandings. I always call the best thing you can do if you want to make more money is do what I call weak link analysis. So if you think about a chain, you can have the strongest chain in the world. As they say, the cliche is the weak link, where it breaks, that's where you fall apart. So some businesses, it's fixing their email marketing. Some it's fixing their website. Some it's fixing their overall brand story. Some of them it's launching new products. So basically, I have a proprietary formula that I do, like Mentorbox. Let's see. Mentorbox here is an example. And Mentorbox put no capital in to start. It's made, you can see this is this stripe. It's made $815,000 in the last 30 days. And this, I put in maybe 45 minutes a month of work.
Wow.
So it's all so this is a system. It's probably a company. I don't know what it's worth. We haven't sold it, but it's arguably worth 20 to 50 million bucks. Me and my partner, we didn't raise any capital. We raised friends and family. I think we sold 1% of the company or something. But we own it all. So it's a proprietary system that I think I can put on any business, whether it's a big brand like Geico or Coca-Cola. We're actually signing a contract with a big $1 billion revenue company to take over their companies. It's hard to learn this stuff that I've learned. And unless you, like I said, me and Alex, who's the co-founder of Mentorbox, we've spent $600 million bucks on online ads. Like, you learn a lot when you do that much. Of course. You learn about consumer psychology and sentiment. You learn about split testing. You learn about that. So I'll probably take, I don't know. I plan to take on like 100 businesses. And also, I'm starting to buy businesses. I'm doing a little like Shark Tank. I've done it on my social media. I did like a Shark Tank-like show. Okay. So the agency will be a good way to start helping businesses. And then I can see on the inside, and some of them maybe I'll invest in or buy out the whole company or something like that. So it's part of a bigger play.
Cool. Yeah. Now, another thing here, you have a pretty cool lifestyle, right? Yeah. That a lot of your target audience is probably like, okay, it's possible. I can see what he's doing. That's the kind of stuff I want. You know, you have a great collection of cars. Yeah. You have an awesome house. You go to the Laker game. I'm assuming courtside are pretty damn close.
Yeah. No, I'm on the wood. I try to sit courts. You know what? Once you go courtside, you can never go back. It doesn't rhyme, but it's. I remember years ago, I couldn't afford to go to a Lakers game at all. So I grew up watching basketball on TV. Never went to I went to one NBA game in my family didn't have much money. So we went to one exhibition game, Charlotte Hornets against Philadelphia 76ers. And then when I got older, I made a little money. I felt like, okay, I can buy a little ticket. So I used to go to the Staples Center and I would sit literally at the top, because I would bring like 5 friends, and 5 friends for like $75 was like $400, and that's all I had. And then you progressively get lower, and then last year Kobe Bryant, I got to sit next to him on the bench for the last 3 games. Now, that was good. You basically, there's one seat. It's probably the best sports seat in the world. And I sat next to Kobe Bryant. I post a lot of cool Insta videos. So,
and the courtside thing, that's probably the only place in the world where it's like the more you get to the top in life, the more you get to the bottom.
There you go. Right. You want to move down, not
you
up.
You want to move up to go down.
In the stadium.
But
it's actually good for business networking. Like, I've met amazing contacts sitting down there, you know, whether it's Kendrick Lamar, Kobe Bryant, or, you know, Steve. I know Steve Ballmer. Steve Ballmer sits down there in court. So in some ways, sitting courtside is an investment too. So now you get what you pay for in life.
Let's take someone that's watching this, and let's say they have a little money to get started on starting to build their social following, but they don't know exactly what to do next. And I've seen some of your older videos. Mm-hmm. You were pretty good back then. You may have deleted the old ones, but you've obviously got so much more comfortable now. It's almost like a conversation with you every time you're in your videos today. So for the people that are like, number one, I don't know how to even get started. What kind of content should I put out? And then how do I leverage that? So I know obviously number one, like you said, pick one thing, Facebook, YouTube, whatever it's going to be. But now, what type of content should I start putting out?
You know, the good news is so the way to think about social media, the S in social media, I think about storytelling.
Right.
So there's infinite stories you can tell. There's people who have much bigger followings than me on YouTube. There's a guy and he just posts like his life. He has like a whole bunch of kids and he's just posting just literally in like a regular home, his regular things that go on. So I think you pick, I call it the brand story. It's the most important part. You have to find what is it, number one, that people will find entertaining, because I think entertainment is part of it. If you do like me, you try to mix in some education, that's edutainment. But also, it's not so much about Lamborghinis or rich stuff or poor stuff. It's more about this thing called VIN Score, which we don't really have time to get into. It's a long 2-hour conversation, but it's value, rarity, inimitability, and non-substitution. So it's basically, you can summarize it, the higher the VIN score of your social media post, the more engagement and growth you'll get. And so what is high VIN? I mean, people can post a video of them coming back from Iraq, a soldier, and he hasn't seen his kids, and his kids cry when he comes in. That's a high VIN score. People find value in stories of redemption, and it's rare, and it's so you have to look through your life. One thing social media will do, it's a reflection on kind of a mirror into how interesting your life is. Mm-hmm. So if you can become more interesting, and interesting has nothing to do with Lamborghinis or Laker games. People find cooking interesting. If you're a good cook, but do it with a flair. That's the education. You know, this is Los Angeles, Hollywood.
As an example, can you think of somebody who does it with a flair? Like one person?
I could think how you do it. I mean, like, let's say you're a good cook. You could cook naked. You could cook, and every time you cook, you throw the food into the pot. Like, just some simple, mundane things. You could always cook, instead of cooking in the kitchen, you could set up a crazy, like, set in your living room. That's not even necessarily expensive, but it's just like off the wall. When you stumble across it on Instagram, like, what the heck? Give an example. There was a guy who does archery that was I do this business roundtable once a month where 15 people come here and spend the afternoon with me. And he is into bow hunting. And he's like, how do I get this viral and grow? And one of my buddies goes, dude, there's this girl who does archery, but she pulls back the bow with her toes. And she shoots things, like, instead of like with her arm, she's like pulls back her feet. Wow. And she can hit targets. And of course, her videos get 5, 10, 20, 40 million views. So there's nothing. So you could take a mundane thing, you can add more emotion to it. You can add more outrageousness to it. You can do, if you have a family with kids, you can do an ongoing series of pranks that the kids are doing back and forth with the parents. You saw that on, what was that one dude? What was the guy, Jackass? Yeah. Jackass, he had his dad, one of the characters, I forget what his name was, and he'd always be doing pranks on his dad. Bam.
That's right.
So that's an example. If you have a dad and you have a home, that's the two. So most people have And if you don't have a dad, you could do it on your roommate. I've seen there's a guy who has a viral set of videos on YouTube where him and his girlfriend have ongoing pranks. It's insane. Like she'll be in the shower, like she just got like a new hairdo, and he'll throw like flour on her, which is impossible to get out, and she's like ruins her, you know, her job interview. So then you got the entertainment hook. That's the hook, and then you can pivot into whatever you want to talk about.
Right.
But you need a strong hook.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, look, I was excited to get you on the show because the proof is there. You know how to build your following, and then you know how to turn that into something. And so I appreciate you sharing a lot of your knowledge.
Oh, thank you, man.
And for those of you guys that aren't already following him, he shares so much content, probably on a daily basis, that can help you do stuff like this and so many other things. So, man, thank you so much for coming on.
Pleasure was all mine. I appreciate giving to charity. That was awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And for all of you watching and listening, we will see you next week. Thanks for joining us today. If you like this episode, subscribe to our YouTube channel or find our podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, or wherever your favorite place to listen to podcasts might be. And if you really like this episode, please leave a review for us on iTunes. Thanks, and we'll see you next week.